Nessa girl, I must tell you that last night's episode of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood was kind of dry. It was messy as fuck, but it was dry. So the episode opens, let me tell you something. I low-key want somebody to punch Brooke ass in the face. Like, Brooke, you just a messy bitch for no goddamn reason. And it's like, I question who, if anybody, do you have any loyalty to, because you don't mind firing up on people in front of people with no hesitation. Like, the way you came to that table with Bridget and Donatella telling the Moniece story, like, there's one thing to say, oh, we was at a session and Moniece had a panic attack, right? Then there's another to cast seeds of doubt in people's head. Oh, we was at a session and Monique was down on the ground crying, and I think it's because she knew she was messing up and couldn't sing good and she was low-key. I think she was faking. Like, that's messy as fuck. Like, the thing about it is, if you're going to disseminate information, you need to make sure you have facts and it is conclusive. You don't know if that girl was faking or not. You are not a medical professional. That was just a hunch in your mind, and that shit should have stayed there. And then when Moniece walks up, you're like, oh, Jessa, we was talking about yada yada. I don't like all that fake shit. Brooke, you don't did it with Lyrica. You just did it with Moniece. You fake as fucking. I got a feeling you're going to end up getting your ass beat down to that reunion. Lyrica and her mama talking, A1 and his brother talk. So A1 and his brother I can't take serious at all because the acting is just so bad. The brother gives it all away. Lyrica mama, you know what, Lyrica mama? Lyrica mama look good to be an older woman. She really does, and I love everything she's doing on Instagram with the singing. I know I clowned Lyrica mama in the beginning about her trying to put out an EP. That's before I knew mama could sing. I actually want some music from Lyrica Garrett because I love her voice. It's one of those old sultry voices that we miss from the 80s and the 90s. She gives me a Mickey Howard tea. And I would love to hear some music or just some live performance and some covers from Lyrica Garrett. Nevertheless, Lyrica Anderson, you gotta really like delve into how are you conducting yourself in the streets that everybody is skeptical about your story about with Safari and this baby. And you know, I wasn't there, but I just gather from your defensiveness and from the energy that there was some heavy flirting and liking going on and some swapping of pictures. And I think if Safari would have pressed hard enough and y'all would have been alone long enough that you probably would have let him sniff them panties. Now, I don't know if you'd have let him pull your panty to the side and slide through, but you'd have let him sniff it if you already ain't. So the girls get to London. London looked good. It looked just like Times Square, and Bridget wanted them to take public transportation. I did too. And of course, lazy ass Nikki was like, we need to get ground transportation service. That's because she can't walk on her thighs and ass if it's scrubbed together for too long. The friction to cause them bags to bust, and she'll have free floating silicone going on through her body, and she'll be in a coma down to London. And I don't know if her insurance work over there. Nevertheless, it probably was in their best interest that they got on the bus. But that bus ride was messy as hell. Both buses was messy. La'Britney was expressing the fact that, you know, she'll get a bitch together. You know, Moniece it was just a lot. Nikki was running her mouth. I was like, Lord, this is gonna be a messy ass London trip. So they get to the house. Y'all wanna know something? I'm so sick and tired of reality TV shows with this whole we go on a girls trip and there's confusion over the rooms. Like, it's just so old and play. And see, Tiara and Moniece and all these hoes, like, quiet as it's kept, I question if you bitches ever even been out the goddamn country. Quiet as it's kept, if somebody gave me a free trip more than 500 miles away from my house, I would be happy to have a goddamn twin bed with some air conditioning. I would be cool. I'm a pull-out sofa kind of girl, you know what I'm saying? Because me personally, I just need a place to shit, shower, and shave. I'm not going out of town to lay up and fool la la in the room. I'm going out of town to see the sights and see. I got to fit it all in the 5 days that I'm here before I go back to my boring, dull existence. Okay? So fighting over a room, long as it's clean and it ain't no coochie remnants in the bed and no expired coochie coupons under the bed, then I am okay. Bridget calls the girls together and they're like, look, I got a couple of rules about this trip. This is what I need. Is there any issues? And La'Britney is like, well, I got one issue, Moniece. I need you to keep my name out. I was like, ooh, La'Britney, you were a little aggressive. And then you was like, and my assistant said you ate K. Michelle pussy. And I was like, oh, Lord, this is finna go so left. I like how Moniece handled it. She said, I did spread it, but I did not say it was true. I said I had heard, I had gotten it from Jay Will. And, you know, at the very end of the day, they ended up squashing it and getting along. And I like that because I just don't understand, regardless of what the person said, how people get so upset with people that they do not know. Like, there's just not anything a bitch could say, even if it's a lie, that I do not know that's going to upset me. I have no emotional attachment to you. Like, you might as well be the random bitch in Montana talking shit about me because I don't know you. Therefore, what you say carries no weight in my life. You dig me? La'Britney, you dirty Detroit dog. You was laying it low and spreading it wide all down to London in that restaurant, and that is just not classy based, La'Britney. We don't do that. You just sit your ass down. And, you know, Bridget, you chugging a beer like that ain't ladylike, but you was over there on vacation or whatever. But I'm going to tell you what was real gross. The fact that Paris lesbian ass keep asking people, is they circumcised or nah? If they isn't Paris, what the fuck you going to do with it? What you going to do with it, Paris? Paris, I am dying to know what the hell. If anybody out there knocking Paris down, please send me an exclusive. I will pay you $1,000 for the exclusive. I will pay you $1,000 for a sexy text between a man and Paris. I'm just not believing Paris got any real interest in any kind of dick, big, little, foreign, American, circumcised or no. Okay, going around in restaurant asking them white men is they circumcised. Them men were so taken aback they didn't know what the hell to do. During that same situation, Tiara walks outside. Now, let me tell you something. Y'all ain't no real friends because you know that your friend having a hard time with alcohol and then y'all go to a damn pub. Like, that just ain't cool. It's not supportive. I find it to be a little selfish. But I like the fact that Tiara was like, you know what? I'm going to leave. I'm going to go outside. I'm having a hard time not having a drink. And I get it because if Tiara's anything like me, I got indoctrinated into being an adult with alcohol. I got indoctrinated into going to clubs and bars with alcohol. So for me, the two go hand in hand. When you say to me we're having a celebration, it's synonymous with alcohol. When you say we're going out for dinner, it's synonymous with alcohol. When you say we're going to the club or to the bar, it's synonymous with alcohol. And I'm going to tell you something. Psychologically, I don't know how to be in a restaurant, club, bar, or at a party without a drink. Me personally, because the two go hand in hand for me. And probably for most people. So I like when Tiara was like, I'm having a hard time not having a drink. And I think the ultimate goal is to not drink for the rest of your life, but to get it under control and then get it to a point where you can drink socially or casually, depending on how deep of an alcoholic you were or are. Nevertheless, shouts out to Tiara for recognizing the shit, doing some damage control, cleaning up that prior image of her being a drunk. And shouts out to Moniece for being a friend and being like, you know what, girl, well, I'll go back and do coloring book exercises with you or eat your puss or whatever you want me to do since we not drinking. But I got to get my kicks and my rocks somehow. Shun, Amber Diamond Mama sets up a meeting for Apple Watts with the lawyer, and Apple Watts do not show up. You know, that was somewhat embarrassing on Shun's behalf because Shun do look like my back hurt, y'all. Y'all gotta excuse me for popping and locking. I had rolled my kiki a little too hard the other night when I was down to the bar with the outside bin. I think I slipped a disc. Not a dick, but a disc. Like my girl Mary B, you just ain't running up in me, okay? Nevertheless, Shun pulls up on Apple at the strip club, and it's just so funny when you start to you know, do the comparison between, I don't want to use the word normal, but like people who have gotten over their hood trauma and people who are still living it. You know, Apple Watts, she doesn't have a future orientation. She's all about the right now. And Shun was like, listen, I'm trying to get you the real money and you right here just trying to get a couple dollars. In Apple's mind, she's like, but my light bill is due tomorrow. So I cannot forego this light bill money that I can get right now for a promissory note for dollars in the future. But you know, from Shun's perspective, that's what needs to happen. Like, you might need to forego this $200 for the $20,000. You know, you may have to take a step backwards in order to take two forward. And I like the fact that Apple eventually came around and was like, you know what, my bad. I'm just not used to trusting people. I'm so used to living in the right now. And I just loved how this show, rather on purpose or inadvertently, explored the juxtaposition between street mentality and, you know, I guess working class mentality or middle class mentality. I don't know what the correct phrasing is right now. I'm drawing a fart, but there's definitely a distinct difference between people who are living well and eating good and those who are scratching and surviving from the hood. The mentality, the thought process is definitely different, and we were able to see that in this episode. They get to the restaurant and Paris asks yet another man, is he circumcised or uncircumcised? You can tell that man did not appreciate that. The British people is real big on etiquette. But what got me is when Teairra called Paris out about, you know, you keep bringing up the sex tape thing. It's a sensitive subject for me. You know, we got a real moment out of Paris when she was saying K. Michelle basically branded her as a thief over $50. You know, and I feel two ways about the situation. You know, Paris was like, she used her platform to tell the world that I was a thief and got people believing it. Do I think the punishment fit the crime? Absolutely not. I think K. Michelle was, you know, kind of wrong for doing that over the amount. Like, you know, when you say somebody's a thief on a platform that large and you yell it from the mountaintops, you know, it implies that the person embezzled, swindled, you know, open up a credit card in your name, not just over $50. However, stepping into K. Michelle's shoes, you don't know what trauma that K has gone through dealing with disloyal people and people who have stolen from her. So whether it was $50 or $5,000, it may have triggered something in her. Like, once again, here's somebody betraying my trust that's stolen from me. And Paris has got to stop writing off K. Michelle's feelings by saying it was just $50. Yeah, it was just $50, but it was just $50 that was not yours. So whether you know, in an unauthorized manner took 50 or took 5,000, the action is the same. The thought is the same. You violated trust because you took something from me without asking. And Paris, you got to recognize that you did steal from her. You know, you're getting caught up on the mouth. You're like, yeah, I stole, but it wasn't that real. But it was. Because if it wasn't that real, you wouldn't have stolen. So, you know, Paris was crying, and I dig it. But I just still want Paris to, you know, just to own that a little bit, that she is legit in feeling what she's feeling because you violated trust. And that's what you got to understand. La'Britney and Moniece have lunch and they squashed their issues, and that was good. Now, Brooke, you was dead ass wrong for crashing Bridget's press conference. That shit was so ghetto. It was so childish. And it kind of came off like subconsciously that you were feeling like, I need some attention. England need to know that I'm here, but I ain't got nothing of any substance to talk about. So let me just jump in on Bridget's thing, because real talk, Brooke, on your own, you wouldn't have been able to solidify that level of press, and that's just real. Then you bring La'Britney in, then you back Bridget into a corner by making La'Britney, you know, forcing La'Britney to open. Then of course, La'Britney being a starving artist, she gonna seize her moment, jump on the radio waves, and yeah, I'm here, y'all, and I'm teaming up with somebody from your situation. And Bridget's looking like, well, damn, in this instance, this is supposed to be all about me. And that's not even being selfish. We are here on a trip to promote my album. This is my press conference. and you guys have crashed it and stole some of my thunder. Then Tiara comes out to let them know that the chicken is done. And shit really goes left when the man asks her about the sex tape and the other boy said, Kim, where can I see it? Yes, God, honey. Child, they say she was down there sucking it. I ain't seen it. I want to, though. It was crazy. And then it didn't make it any better that the interviewer brought up that K. Michelle and Akbar was going back and forth in the live, and we can already tell that this is a setup for something that's about to come in the future. Y'all, Love and Hip Hop had it going on just a little bit. I mean, it ain't have it going on for real, or whatever, but you know, we'll see what next week give. I didn't waste my time watching that Princess and Ray J labor special, and I don't plan on it, so please don't ask me about it. And I ain't seen no tweets or anything about it, so it mustn't give y'all a whole bunch of anything either. At any rate, that's the girl. I'm getting ready to get off this camera and get my ass down to the beach with a naked man's be, and I'll call you later. Be sure to like and subscribe, and have fun with your life the way I am. Bye.